got friend of the channel, Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon is indeed a friend of the channel. And Nick Cannon had a little egg on his face recently when he sat down with one of the premier Nepo babies in the one of the premier Nepo babies in the content game, Bobbi Althoff. Nick Cannon sat down with Bobbi Althoff to, I guess, talk about life and various other random subjects. And at one point, Althoff was, asking Nick Cannon to name all 12 of his kids, and I think Nick got to like 10 names, and he struggled to name the other two. So Nick is trending in all the wrong ways right now. Well, perhaps not in all the wrong ways, but just in kind of funny ways, meme-ish ways, trolling ways, because he couldn't name all 12 of his kids. So this says Nick Cannon struggles to remember all 12 of his kids' names. Nick Cannon struggled to remember the names of all 12 of his children during an interview with Bobbi Althoff on the Really Good podcast. Clips of the moment have been going viral on social media, with fans criticizing Cannon for the awkward moment. While discussing his forgetfulness, Cannon challenged Althoff to name 12 states before trying something more personal. Eventually, he surrendered and tried to remember his 12 children. And I'll skip the quotes. Fans on social media have been having plenty of jokes at his expense in response. Nick Cannon named all his kids after armor variations and ranks from Halo Reach. I'm balling my effing eyes out, one user joked. Another added, that stuff not even funny. LOL, bro, lame for trying to act like that should be a hard thing to know off top. As for the full list of Nick Cannon's 12 children, he shares twins. Okay, so they named off all the kids. While he may be forgetful about their names, Cannon has spoken about the importance of being a father many times over the years. Every day I just wake up excited as a father, he told people in 2022. I'm so excited about all my kids, constantly, from every aspect of it, from them getting Citizen of the Month awards in the first grade to the birth of the new ones. So here is that exchange between Mr. Cannon and Bobbi Althoff, in which Mr. Cannon struggles to name off all 12 of his kids.
When she got upset, she would like scream and fire would just erupt everywhere, and her hair would like.
Daughter is.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
What are their names?
I just told you.
You told me one.
Oh, you want all 12?
12 names.
All right. This is where I usually get in trouble.
Why? Because you don't know all of them.
I know all of them, but like when you're labeled, like, can you label or just rattle off 12 of anything?
Yeah.
Okay, what can you rattle off 12 of?
12
can you name
colors.
12 states right now?
They're not like what's something personal to me that
okay, can you see exactly? Okay, name 12. What do you have 12 of?
Well, most people don't have 12 of anything. Or $12.
Can you have 12 tattoos?
I don't even have 12 tattoos. You have more kids than I have tattoos.
Exactly. All right, well, here we go. I'll label it off for you. See, let's keep me honest. There's rock, roll, golden, powerful, rise, onyx, legendary, Zion, zillion, zen, and see, this is where how many?
You're missing 2.
I'm missing 2. And then I would say.
Not to be a education elitist here, but
you right, bro. Go ahead and say it.
I can't name 12 states. Like, come on, man. I don't know. I don't want to get too. I don't want to get too, self-aggrandizing, but I feel some type of way if you can't name 12 states. I mean, there's 50 of them. If you can't name 12 states, we got bigger problems.
Hey, bro. Sorry, bro. We got bigger problems. we got a lot of people that fit that right now.
12? I mean,
yeah, bro.
Geez, wow. Okay. Well, okay. So what did you think about that?
Hey, man. But as far as what Nick had to say, bro, he tried to buy himself a little time there. Tried to distract her. a little sleight of hand trick. It didn't pan out for him, but she still came right back to it. Here's my thing when it comes to this situation. It's not a good look for him. And it's not a good look for the campaign that he's been running with this whole situation. Um, you know, because we've had, he's friend of the channel, so we've talked about Nick Cannon and his children situation quite a bit. And I've generally always come to the defense of whatever his vision was. Because I feel as though he had a vision for whatever he was trying to do. I felt like he was trying to do his own version of legacy building. Now, granted, most of his kids, I'm sure, or a good number of them are probably going to fall into the entertainment business, which, I'm not a fan of. But he has his own vision of legacy building, and he's doing his version of it. So if he gets them into the industry, so be it. The archetype or the example of whatever he was doing, I felt as though that other men could follow. If you have the resources to do this, I didn't have a problem with it. So, but when you come off in a situation like this, where it looks like you don't even know all the names of your children, it makes it it falls into what people have been saying about him the whole time, that he's just doing it to bust one. He's doing it for egotistical reasons, to say that I got this many kids, instead of the fact that, hey, I know all my kids by name. And so I got a pretty big family, bro. I can name, I can name 12 cousins, bro. Like, that's not my kids. I could just rattle off 12 cousins. I can rattle off, 12 aunts and uncles. That's my family, bro. So if you got children and you're struggling to name 12 of them, bro, that's a bit of this is where I get in trouble. Why, man? You know what I'm saying? I can see if you lost count because you just naming names. But if you felt like you named them all, but there's still 2 left, that's a bit of an issue. And if you're one of the 2 that got left off, I don't know how they're gonna view Pops.
Right. Yeah.
So this is a crazy situation, man. So he's got to tighten up on that. And for those people out there that can't name 12 states or can't name 12 capitals, you know what I'm saying? Because there's them people out there too. Now, capitals, bro, like, I'll put cash on that, bro. I'll put cash on that, man. But there's people out there that struggle with common knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man,
so
it's not all 50 states, it's just 12 of them.
I know, bro.
My
But
God.
still, man. You should see some of these, some of these Q&As that I see that go on online, bro. I be thinking some of these people be trolling, but the further they go down some of these questions, these people really don't be knowing these things. And it is wild, bro. But last thing I'll say is that, yeah, man, this is just not a good look for him. It's not a good look for his campaign. And as I mentioned, bro, it feeds into what people have been saying about this guy all along. And he's not really about that life. He's only about the image of it. But what are your thoughts, man, on Sir Nick Cannon? Low-key getting exposed, not being able to name all 12 of his kids. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, if you wanted to make a larger societal observation, you can make the claim that this is not a good look for people who are in the polyamory / polygamy camp, who argue on behalf of that being a constructive and productive way to build communities and raise families. We've talked about Neo. Neo is another proud polyamorous, person. We've talked about Neo on this channel. I don't really think Neo cares about building a family structure that looks out for itself and is a part of creating some sort of a generational foundation. I think the reason why Neo does what he does is because he wants to have as many women to have sex with as possible. I don't think Neo is the but you can just slap a label on that in order to recuse yourself from having to answer to embracing that kind of a lifestyle from a moral standpoint. So
Mhm.
the label that you can use in order to be able to do that is to say, "Oh, I'm polyamorous," especially in this day and age as more things become aggressively normalized. So
Mhm.
as polyamorous relationships become more aggressively normalized, a co-opter such as Neo can infiltrate the polyamorous paradigm, disguise himself as a legit polyamorous advocate, but really what he's doing is running a harem. He's not legitimately being polyamorous, because a legitimate polyamorous structure is one in which everybody has the freedom to have their own partners so long as there is knowledge of it and everyone else agrees to it. But Neo's setup is he's the only male at the top of the pyramid, and all the women are subjugated beneath him. That's a
Mhm.
harem. That's not legitimately polyamorous.
Mhm.
So I kind of feel like Neo is just doing it to bust nuts. Now, Nick Cannon, we've never put him in that category because, for all intents and purposes, even though it's a bit unorthodox and unusual, we've always said what he's doing is his own way of nation building.
Right.
And so long as everybody co-signs it and agrees to it, who are we to dictate whether it's okay or not if the women are up to it? And like you described the way, if it's set up this way where there's like a compound, or if everybody's living in their own houses on a particular property, or how this stuff works. Now, I don't know how his particular setup is, but theoretically, if it's structured in that kind of way, then it would make sense. But this isn't not being able to rattle off your kids' names isn't a good look, speaking to him doing it that way. Because I feel like if you're a legit head of multiple households and you're really doing this for the purposes of community building and family building and rearing children in stable environments, if that is truly your intent and you're doing it from the heart, you should be able to easily name all of your children, because that's what you're doing it for. You're not doing it for the fun of the bus nut. You're doing it for the purposes of the children and the family structure. So maybe, I don't know. I'm not really giving him a see. And the thing about it is, I hear where he's coming from. I've been in situations where I know certain things like the back of my hand, but if I'm unexpectedly put on the spot, I can have a brain freeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've been in that situation before, but I don't care, bro. Like, there's no brain freeze. Like, if somebody put me on the spot and said, "Name 12 of your cousins," did I expect to be put in that position? No. Am I still going to be able to do it? Yeah,
Right.
because they're my cousins. Like, it's my family. So like, I'm still going to be able to name 12 of my cousins like that. Like,
Right.
it's not going to be hard.
Right.
And they're cousins. They're not my seeds. They're not my children. They're not my direct DNA. So I don't know. It just wasn't a good look for him, and I kind of feel like potentially. Now, I do think for the most part, this is just being memed and it's being used as an opportunity to troll him and make fun of him and
Mhm.
to make jokes out of it.
Mhm.
But if you wanted to take it there, you could suggest that this opens up a certain level of scrutiny when it comes to that chosen lifestyle,
Right.
and the practicality and the productiveness of it, based upon the fact that he struggled to do that. So, I kind of feel like if someone wanted to take it there, you couldn't summarily dismiss it, because there are bad faith actors out here who will try to co opt the namesake of a chosen lifestyle in lieu of being able to do whatever they want. And that's what I think Neo has done. I'm still not willing to go that far with Nick Cannon, but I don't think this was a good look for him.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that this was yeah, it feeds into, like I said, man, it feeds into the rhetoric where he was already getting bashed for doing this in the first place. And then this is yep, see, I told you. He don't even know the name. It's like, come on, man, it's whatever, bro. Like that, yeah. It's just two. I mean, he got 10 of them, you know. So hey, man. But yeah, why this interview? Why is he with the industry plant? Who knows? Nick Cannon, he's a strange character, man. And as I mentioned, he for him to be the poster boy of this is whatever. But I do think, like as I mentioned, man, I do think that this would be helpful going forward for men that can afford it. And because it really does take a village, man, to raise a child and to raise a family, man. And so the more help, the more hands on deck that you got in order to do it, I don't see what's wrong with that, because it's so much of a village that's required for raising a child. People would pay for daycare services for somebody else to come, or to drop your kid off, to because it's so much work. People would hire a nanny because, for that support or whatever, to take care of and whatever. People would drop them off at grandma's house, or
Yeah,
whatever. And it's like, because it's required so much work in order to raise one child. So if there's 12 of them, that's a whole system that you would need. But if there's, see, and this is the thing, I don't even know how he has this situation set up. If they all in different houses, different states,
that's the thing. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure they all spread out. I'm pretty
And
sure it's disparate. I'm pretty sure they're their own groups.
which again, I know he ain't got them all living in the same. He ain't that player. You know what I'm saying? So, but if it, it would behoove the situation if they were living together. That way, support can get linked on one this and one that, or what have you. But that's how it would be if it was a structured situation. But right now, when people aren't living in nuclear families anymore, everybody's living abroad, everybody's doing their own thing, and everybody's trying to do whatever. The village portion of it takes a village has been outsourced. And so now people are dropping their kids off at school, daycare center, after school, doing all this other stuff here because it requires so much. So since society has changed so much, people are left on their own devices, which can get a little wild or whatever. So that's why I really think that returning to, we call it traditional, man female monogamy, but traditional in the global sense of things, where traditionally there was always this communal way of having families. I think that would be more beneficial going forward. I think we would have less broken homes. But for Nick Cannon to be the actual spokesperson of that, and for him to be carrying the torch, or Neo to be carrying the torch for these things, I don't think that these celebrities are the people that people should be looking at as the archetype. But you know how things go. People are going to be looking at them as the role models and the examples. And neither one of them, I don't think, do. Or
No.
Cam Newton, who just got out here the other day talking about broken families. I don't think either of these people are doing it the right way, but it is what it is, man. I do think we do need to look at things differently, though.
Yeah, I don't really give Nick Cannon that much credit. He's not the imposter that I think Neo is, because Nick Cannon doesn't go and publicly call himself polyamorous versus Neo, who does and who has. So Nick Cannon isn't the imposter that I find Neo to be, but I still think that all of these guys are just doing this to satiate their sexual appetite more than anything else. I'm not going to give them that much credit for doing this for the purposes of nation building. I think that they have I think that they want to do what a lot of guys out here would like to do, which is be able to sleep with as many women as they can afford, and be able to live like that, free of any sort of moral ridicule or consequences. And I think men in those positions are able to do that primarily because they can afford what comes along with it. And I think that that's what they're doing, and they are co-opting things such as polygamy and polyamorous relationships in lieu of doing it, so that they can look like they know what they're doing when really all they're doing is just busting mad nuts. That's really how I see it. So I'm not, I just don't give Nick Cannon that much credit. I just kind of feel like he has a sexual appetite and he is morally above the fray because he can afford to be morally above the fray. And his conscience isn't going to be eaten up because he has all of these different baby mamas. He doesn't care so long as he can afford it all, and they ain't going to be complaining about him because he can continue to fund their lifestyle and be able to financially support the children. It's making the best of what is otherwise a sticky situation. But is it truly a communal fostering of family and child rearing? In my opinion, no. I just kind of feel like they're out there just busting as many nuts as possible.
Yep.
So I just don't give those guys as much credit as some would otherwise. Um, and I hear what you're saying about like outsourcing help with children. That's a very good point because that is true. People are paying exorbitant amounts of money for daycare and babysitters and all of that kind of stuff. So I hear you on that, but I think a detractor to what you would say is, and I'm not. I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying I'm a detractor. I'm just saying I can imagine someone who is in disagreement with you would say, well, you know, uh, the father or whomever doesn't have carte blanche to sleep with people in the daycare or to sleep with the nannies or to have sexual relationships with the babysitter, even though that still does happen too. Even though that still goes on, right? I mean, that still happens. You see, how many stories do we know of? I mean, freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger got, I'm pretty sure that was a divorce because it was no, don't quote me on that. I don't know if he's divorced from his wife, but I remember Schwarzenegger getting jammed up because it was found out that he was smashing the nanny. So that still happens where these guys are going to smash and do what they do anyway. So I hear your point, but I would imagine that that's what somebody who is a detractor of that line of thinking would bring up is when you drop your kid off the daycare people aren't having sex with the husband or the man or the father of the children or something.
And detractors are gonna find their way to detract. But just fair point, man. But hey, man, it takes a village, man. So we'll see, man. But hey, what do you guys think down in the comment section, guys? Do you feel as though this was a bad look for Sir Nick Cannon that he couldn't name all 12 of his kids off the top of his head? And I have another question for you all. Can you all name 12 states without Googling it? Please let me know down in the comment section. I would love to put that to the test. So I say that.
Bro, if y'all can't name 12 states, nah, no. People who watch this channel can name 12 states. I'm
That is the
sorry.
correct answer. Sir.
Yeah,
Ding, 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 ding.
if you're watching this channel, you can name 12 states, man. I ain't gonna do my community like
Come
that.
on, man. Hold up. Them trolls now. I don't know what they got going on.
They
Some
don't
trolls.
count. They don't follow. They don't count. They don't count. They pop in every now and again to tell us how wrong we are, but they don't count. And Schwarzenegger did get divorced. So he did, yeah. So they got divorced back in 2021, and that was the catalyst for them getting divorced. He was smashing the nanny.
If they had a village mentality, that family will still be together. So. See what I'm saying? It fixed things, dog.
Hey, man, you never know. Hey, shouts out to Nick Cannon, man. You're your own cat, bro. I respect you for that, but you just out here busting nuts. Let's keep it real.